everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're going to do the commentary / analysis for episode 20 of Miraculous Ladybug season 6 Heart Fixer. And as always, I'm about to spoil the full thing for you, so please go and watch it before you watch the rest of this video. But oh my gosh, I loved it. Quick thoughts. 10 out of 10 episode. Oh my gosh, so good. But before I get into it, just very quickly, apologies that this is later than usual. Basically, TF1 Plus usually uploads things at about, I think it's meant to be 9 AM French time. For whatever reason, they didn't. They have been late before, but this one seemed particularly late. I'm not really sure why, but it was, so this is why this video is later than usual, because it comes out in French. Whilst I can speak some French, I prefer to have, when I'm analysing the episodes, particularly based on writing quality, I prefer to have the subtitles, just to, you know, double check they're saying what I think they're saying. So this is why the video is later than usual, so my apologies, but it's here for you now. But oh my gosh, worth the wait. I absolutely loved it. I think it had a great plot, and I do think this episode could have very easily have been confusing, because at some point you had 2 Adrians, 2 Marinettes, 2 Ninos, 2 Prames, 2 Alias, you know what I mean? It could have been very easily confusing, but I really don't think it was, in my opinion, although I do understand if you were confused by it. I think the emotions displayed in this, all the characterizations were great, it was really pacey. I just thought it was absolutely flawless, and it definitely had the potential to be really tricky and confusing to the viewer, but in my opinion it wasn't, and I just absolutely loved it. So if you're coming to try and find a critical Heart Fixer review, you're watching the wrong video, because I loved it. I'm not going to be critical at all. I don't know how long this video is going to be, because it's just praise. I loved it. I loved it so much. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure what the general consensus is. Like I said, like what I usually do when TF1 Plus uploads it at a reasonable time, I usually film my reaction and then go on Twitter for like 5 or 10 minutes just to see what the general consensus of the fandom is. Not necessarily for them to change my mind, but just I'm interested to see what the general reception of the episode is, and I haven't had time, so I think I've spoken to one person and that's it. And they said they were underwhelmed and gave it a 7 out of 10, and I was like, wow, I loved it. 10 out of 10. So let's just get into it. And I love that immediately, that first opening scene before the title sequence, they really set the tone of this episode. Quite ominous. They set it right away. I thought it was great. And they also set what the aim of the episode is going to be, which is to break up Adrian and Marinette. Excellent. And I also kind of liked how Ray, Nelson and Loic was sat holding their hand on a phone like it was some sort of Chrissy Pop Ouija board. Excellent. That was so fun. And then the diaries. I loved the way they were showing how much stress Marinette has been under. So I think it was 2 for when you were just Ladybug, then 3 for after she became the Guardian, and then was it 15 for after basically Gaby Baby died. So 15 in like what, 3 months? That's assuming the seasons are as long as as in seasons of length, like the time they take, the real world time they take, they're set over. So 15 diaries in like 2 to 3 months. Whew. First of all, when on earth does she have time to write that much? I write a lot and I'm like, that's a lot, especially handwriting. That obviously takes a lot more effort than typing, so I was just like, cracky, where does she have the time? But I really enjoyed this show of how she's feeling, how muddled she's feeling, how guilty she's feeling. Really enjoyed it. However, this episode definitely has me questioning. This isn't like a criticism of the episode, but I was like, where does this episode set in the chronology? Because last night I was convinced Lady Chaos connection. It really doesn't seem that way. Maybe Lady Chaos is connected to Sudden Nancy instead. I'm not. Is that after Lady Chaos? I need to learn the numbers. I still haven't learned them. Still haven't got them down. I'll get there one day. Not today. But I'm a bit confused about like where it's set with the letter and Marinette's feelings. I'm not really sure, because like obviously in Lady Chaos she is dead set against Adrian knowing, as she is in pretty much all the other episodes. The only other episode she seems a bit different is Daddy Agrest, but that's because she's like, I'm not really sure I can keep it in anymore, sort of thing. So I'm a bit confused whereabouts it could be other than after Altore de Piedra. I have absolutely zero clue on that front. No idea. But then Adrian, oh my god. What a track star. He can do a 5k in 21 minutes. I can only do a 3k in half an hour. He's amazing. Anyway, I love the whole Akuma. The whole Akuma was so cool. I did wonder if Ray, Nelson and Loic were just going to stay as Marinette and Nino and Prem, or if they were able to change. And I love the way they were able to change, where they basically had a phone with like a basically like a catalogue of everyone at the school that they'd taken pictures of, and once they'd taken a picture of them they could change between them. Absolutely loved it. And one thing I really liked, it's only a small detail but I thought it was great. So as Loic, so like everyone else pretty much has like fairly good posture, like they have a straight back. Loic is kind of like slightly hunched. I'm not sure he has like a hunchback where he just walks kind of like this, like hunched over. So when he's pretending to be like Adrian or whatever, he is straight back posture. But that bit outside the lecture theatre, when they transform back, he immediately goes back to being hunched. Loved it. Just little oh my god, I know that's not even to do with the writing, that's to do with the animation and the modelling and stuff, but I love that little detail. Yes, I loved everything. So I loved that it was starting with Prem in class, and at first, like I said, it could very easily be confusing because Nelson pretending to be Prem was quite convincing. Like, you'd think if you didn't know. Obviously I knew going in that this was fake Prem given the trailers we'd seen, but I was just like, oh, okay, like it could very easily, someone could be watching that and easily think it's the real Prem with how Nelson was acting. And I also really liked the fact that Nelson was the one in charge. I know Ray, I think, seems like the ringleader and seems like he has the most money, but I feel like Nelson is like the brains behind the operation. He just seemed the smartest out of the three of them, I would argue. In terms of intelligence, I'd say Nelson, Ray, Loic. By the sounds of things, Loic seems like a bit of an idiot. No offense, Loic, it's okay, you're not real. And then I also loved real Prem in the garden, setting it up for later. I just thought the whole episode was really well done in terms of the structure and like the circular narrative they had going on. Not just for stuff with Prem, with Adrian and Marinette, even with Alia as well. Amazing, amazing. Oh my god, it was amazing. Amazing structure. So good, the structure. Yes. And then Agley. Okay, I did, right. Agley, Lila. Yeah, more evidence, because I'm going to do a video for probably Monday, I don't know. I haven't done my April video schedule plan yet, but right, listen. So, we know at this point Chrissy Pop is in the school library. Okay, sorry, the sunlight. This is why I don't film in the afternoon. Because the sun. Anyway. So we know Chrissy Pop is in the school library, and I said in my wacky theory video where I put everything up on the wall, I wasn't sure when Chrissy Pop gets to school. I'm not sure when she arrives. However, Agley is in school. Why did they show us Agley? You know, Rose and Julika and Ivan and Kim and Max and everyone else is presumably at school, and could we see like fake Kim and fake Ivan at one point? We know everyone else is there. Why Agley of all people? And also I'm assuming, like, when she's like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that, I'm assuming she's referring to her thinking Marinette has cheated on Adrian with Nino. Who's told Agley that? She wouldn't know unless she was Chrissy Pop. You know what I mean? And also, why did they choose Agley? Why didn't they have Rose say that? Why Agley? I'm on to you. Maybe I just need to rewatch the episode. Was Agley in the bit, Joe, when Adrian's in ancient Greek class and fake Marinette and Nino are running around? Was Agley outside then? I didn't notice her. Perhaps wrong, I'll double check, but... Agley, your card is marked and your days are numbered. I am onto you. Although, oh god, I really identified with Adrian when he was like, oh, is this just a prank? When he kind of confronts Marinette and Nino. He's like, it's a bit stressful. Could you pick something a lot less stressful? That is why I hate today, because it's April Fool's Day. I don't get a lot of the pranks, and the pranks aren't usually stressful, they're just something silly, and I'm just like, eh? I'm not a prank person. I don't get it. No, I'm so glad I wasn't at work today. Firstly, so I'd be here for Heartfixer. Secondly, so my colleagues couldn't play April Fool's pranks on me because they would. And I'd just be like, what? It's not them, it's me. I never really understood it. I've never played one on someone because I'm like, eh? What? Eh? No. Don't get it. But then, oh my god, I was having the time of my life in my reaction. I filmed a reaction when, so... Ray, Nelson and Loic stood on the school roof. How did they get up there? I have no idea. They stood on the school roof and they all, well, I guess they de-transform into their Akuma versions in their very questionable couple Rekka suits, I suppose. And we find out that it was Loic and Ray who were Marinette and Nino, and they're like, no, no kissing. And then it absolutely makes my absolute day that they did end up kissing. Oh my god, how are they going to deal with that later? I don't know, but I can't wait to see. I do kind of ship it. I do ship it. I will ship anything, okay? I was devastated the other week at work when I thought our Hoover had died, because we have a Henry Hoover, so we call him Henry. We were like, oh no, Henry's died. And one of the customers was like, oh my god, Henry's died? And I was like, yeah, the Hoover. She was like, ah! Everyone was devastated. He ended up being fine in the end. But we managed to fix him. I get very easily attached to things that are objects or aren't real. Ship. But then why is Annika's teacher at school? She hates everyone apart from Luca and Julika. Why would she subject herself to teaching music to children? I wouldn't do it. She's braver than me, but oh my god, the kiss! It made me want to throw up, but I was just absolutely over the moon that I was basically imagining Ray and Loic doing it, and it made my day. Also ruined my day having to see it, but you know what I mean? It was alright! Then we have Angry Adrian and Angry Alia, and I loved the conversation earlier with Alia and Marinette. They're in pottery class. She's like, oh, about the croissants and the shoe curls, and Alia's like, what? Could you just, you know, say what you actually mean, not whatever there's talking around it? And Alia's like, oh, that's what you were talking about. Adrian's the shoe curls and Nino is the croissants, and Nino, croissant kid, amazing. Like, oh my god, all the dialogues, oh. Everything in about this episode was absolutely excellent. And then Nino called Alia his raisin bun. And then she's like, never talk to me again. She walks off, Adrian breaks up with Marinette. It was amazing, pure cinema, so good. And then we have the boys transforming into Sublime, and Adrian, fake Adrian, like shrugs away from Marinette in the lecture theatre, and Sublime was like, you don't deserve to love him, you don't know how to love him, whatever it was she said. Oh my god. Yes, and then Adrian comes across Prem in the garden, and Prem was like, I know she was here with me, I don't know what was going on, I was waiting for these baby birds to hatch. And the reaction, I was like, come on Adrian, get it together, come on. Like, I knew he was gonna, like, I knew Marinette was gonna get akumatized, but I was just like, I was getting stressed. Like, for example, there's this film I love, it's called Argo. It's got Ben Affleck in, and I really, really love this film. It's basically quite topical actually. It's about the siege on the American embassy in Iran. And a lot of the American staff managed to escape, but a lot of them were also held in Iran. However, there's a group of 6 who managed to get to the Canadian ambassador's house, and I can't remember if it was the FBI or CIA. I get confused between them. I'm not actually sure what the difference is. I'm not American, so I don't think I need to know. They basically send Ben Affleck to get them out of Iran, and they basically pose as a Canadian film crew, like on location, scouting in Iran for somewhere to film. And the end of the film is them trying to escape at the airport. I have seen Argo because I really love it. I've probably seen it 20 times, and every single time I've seen that film, from the first time to the most recent time, I'm like, oh my god, come on, they're gonna make it. I know exactly what happens, and you should watch it to find out what happens if they make it or not. But I was like, ah! So even though I knew Marinette was gonna get akumatized, and no, I didn't see the spoiler glue posted. I heard that they posted Marinette's akumatized form, but I didn't see it until I watched the episode, because at that point, I think it was like about 8 PM at night for me last night, I was like, you know what, Gloob? No. We're not doing this today. Goodbye. No thank you. So I didn't see it until I watched the episode, which I was very, very happy about. But so even though I knew it was coming, I was still like, come on. So like when Adrian sees himself through the glass, when it's Loic pretending to be him, he's like, what on earth is going on? He's slowly piecing things together. He watches D transform, then he transforms, he runs in the slow motion, he's running towards her, he goes to Cataclysm and the butterfly is not enough, and then Tiki before that, where she's like, Marinette, come on, there's an Ultra Kuma, you gotta stop, and she's like, no, it's a total nightmare, I've lost Adrian. And then, oh my god, the dialogue in the Chrissy Pop sequence where she's like, I've lost Adrian, then Adrian de-transforms, a cat blank moment. Can you tell how much I love this episode? It was so good. So I love the dialogue between Chrissy Pop and Marinette. I loved Adrian trying to talk Marinette down, and then Marinette transforms into her Akuma, and outfit fabulous, hair fabulous. It wasn't too far from what she looks like in general. Like, you look at the iconic pigtails, it was in a colour that she's familiar with, that she really likes, but I just thought it was perfect for her. Dead simple, she looks stunning, but also deadly at the same time, with like the barbed wire and the pigtails, the barbed wire for the like the handbag or whatever. Stunning, oh my god. And then I loved how Chrissy Pop kept being like, I need Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous, which should be rather easy considering you're Ladybug. And Marinette just basically, like, you can see her at some points, like, she's shaking with like the strength of like forcing herself not to say yes, and she's still showing that strength. I absolutely loved that it was Adrien, not Cat Noir, that saved her, and he didn't like fight her, you know what I mean? He was like running away from her at first, and he just grabs her in a hug and he's like, look, I love you, you don't need to fix my heart, it's already been fixed, I want us to be back together. I was just like yes, and then they kiss, which I'm pretty sure is the first time someone's kissed an Akuma villain, although I definitely could be wrong. It was great. And then she breaks free from the Akuma, and usually it looks quite painful to do it, but it looks so nice and peaceful this time. And then Tiki and Plag are there, and they're playing Blue Force Ensemble in the background, and I was like it was great. Sometimes when you get hyped for an episode, I said this at the start of my reaction, the last time I was this hyped for an episode was Ephemeral, and I felt really let down by Ephemeral because it was terrible. I was also just as hyped for Heartfixer, but I absolutely loved it. I understand though, sometimes when you get really hyped it doesn't live up to that expectation. I'm feeling a bit flat afterwards, so I'm like, oh. Like, it's kind of like I was like this morning, because I was so hyped for this episode, I was like, yeah, come on, and then I was like, oh, it's not going to be airing today? I honestly was depressed this morning. Alright. I had my medication, I was like, it's not working. My depression medication, my antidepressant medication is not working today because TF1+. We nearly fell out. Me and this TV network. Nearly was the end of days for TF1+. And then again, like I was saying with the circular narrative, it ends when Marinette and Adrien are back together, and I'm also assuming Alia and Nino, although they didn't really say a great deal, but I'm assuming they are from what was shown in the episode. The boys are watching, we're like, oh, we have the film of them breaking up, but then it falls in the water because the birds that were born at the start, which helped Adrien work out that Marinette didn't actually cheat on him, that it was a fake Marinette. Beautiful. Then again with the circular narrative, we end with Marinette and Alia. Because Alia could have very easily been forgotten in this episode, one thing in my theory video is that I wanted to keep focusing on Alia because it seemed a bit odd. They were using Nino for this and Alia wouldn't be used. So I really liked how they utilised Alia in this episode, and I really truly loved that conversation they had at the end where first of all Marinette nearly rescinds her Miraculous. I'm assuming she would stay Guardian. Like, you know, Master Fu didn't really use the Totem Miraculous. I think he like uses it once during his tenure in the show as the Guardian, so I would assume it wouldn't matter, you can be the Guardian without having Miraculous. Like, I'm pretty sure Suhan doesn't have a Miraculous, unless he has and we've just never seen it. Perhaps he does, I don't know. But I just absolutely love that scene where Alia's like it's okay, you didn't actually hurt anyone, no one found out your identity, but like it is still dangerous, so perhaps Alia should have let her rescind it, I don't know, but I'm glad she got to keep it, so I'm not mad at the decision. But I will definitely be intrigued to see what happens when Adrien does indeed find out, because as she says, like in that final scene when she's on her own with Tiki, like Adrien's gonna be devastated, and I'm worried it will split us apart when he finds out. So I feel like there'll be more consequences then. I certainly don't think that this episode is the end of her consequences of her actions, because this episode was very much focused on Marinette and Adrien and their romantic relationship, but not Marinette and Adrien related to Gabriel and the lies she is told. So I feel like there's still more to come. I feel like their relationship is steady, but that part of it isn't yet. That's still a question mark over it, what's going to happen with that. So romance, yes. Gabriel baby, no. So I still think there's more to come. So I don't think there's any way a full conclusion yet. So I think if people watching this episode looking for a conclusion to everything, I feel like they might walk away a bit disappointed, but I'm okay with it because I think it would be too much to handle all at once, if that makes sense. And I really, really, really loved a line Alia said when she says, you need to practice being more kind to yourself like you are to others. I don't think that was verbatim, something along those lines. Absolutely loved it. And then I really loved the end scene as well with Marinette talking about that she is the reason why she can't tell Adrien. Because I definitely feel like a lot of the characters think this. I guess possibly because of the way Adrien's been raised and how sheltered he is that everyone thinks he's a lot more delicate and vulnerable than he actually is. Don't get me wrong, he is a child, he is vulnerable and he can still get upset and stuff, but like, so can everyone, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't not tell them the truth just because what you're afraid their reaction might be. Like, for example, I get this a lot because I am disabled. When it comes to people who perhaps don't know me as well, like not for example my family, but perhaps some friends or acquaintances I have, they might think they can't discuss like more serious topics with me because of my autism, because they think I'll get upset or that I can't handle it. I can, you just might have to approach it in a different way with me as opposed to someone who is neurotypical when I'm neurodivergent, but that doesn't mean you should just avoid all those topics with me. And I'm not sure if Adrian is autistic. Personally, I think you could definitely argue he is. I've made a big video arguing that all the Senti monsters are autistic. I also think some of the non-Senti characters are autistic, like I would argue Marinette is autistic for example. But like, I feel like a lot of people in the show, like Marinette, just feel like Adrian, for whatever reason, is like too innocent to handle the truth, sort of thing. So they don't tell him because of their thoughts about him. It's not like done out of hatred, like she loves him, I know she loves him, but she just has the wrong perception about what he is basically able to handle. Although, this didn't ruin my enjoyment of the episode, but she's like, I'm gonna put this letter that tells Adrian the whole truth in the one place I know no one can access. My yo-yo. But I was like, first of all, strike back. Why would you say that? Second of all, who from time to time gets to use the Ladybug Miraculous as Mr. Bug? Adrikins. I know Marinette doesn't know that, but we know that. Now, I don't think, I mean, he's only been Mr. Bug twice. Not counting what we saw at the end of the Reverse special, canon Mr. Bug, in our universe Mr. Bug. I don't remember him ever having a rummage around in the yo-yo during Reflectol or Passion, but that's not to say he never will. So I think it stands to reason Adrian could be the one to fish this out, or maybe if Alia has another run of Scarabella again, she could find it, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like Marinette is a bit naive saying like, oh yeah, no one will ever find this. Felix wants to know your location. Anyway, that was everything I think about this episode. She says at the end, start of the video being like, oh yeah, this video won't be long since I loved all of it, and it's still longer than the episode. Or the unedited version is longer than the episode. I just really enjoyed it and I wanted to talk about it, and I felt sad this morning that it might not have happened, so I'm really glad it did because it was great. Honestly, I was getting really worried because usually I only work weekends. However, I'm not working Sunday because it's Easter Sunday, the shop is shut. So like, cool, I only have to work one day but I get paid for 2 days because it's a paid holiday. But then my boss texted me yesterday, she was like, hey, do you want to do overtime? I was like, yeah, sure. I'm doing overtime tomorrow, so I was like, TF1 don't air it today, they might air it tomorrow. And then I will hate them for the rest of my life. But anyway, besties, that is just what I thought about this episode. If you disagree with me, if you hated this episode guts, tell me why, alright? Go for it. I don't care if you disagree with me, all I care about is that you're kind and respectful when you're disagreeing with me or disagreeing with other people in the comments if you are replying to them and having conversations with them. Besties don't always agree with each other, but besties always respect each other's opinions. So let us know what you think of this episode, besties, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!